Okay, I'm ready. Okay, I wanted to make another part to my Margo devlog. I guess it's like postmortem at this point because it's done. But I don't like that word for some reason. Postmortem sounds like serious or something. Also, sorry that my voice sounds like this. I'm sick. I got COVID. I want to talk about, like, I guess the beginning of learning how to make a game. When I first started building it, I was using Construct 2, which is like a free version. Construct 3 is what I used to build it, but Construct 2 is like just like a free outdated version that they have. And so I was using that. I know a lot of people just use that and they don't pay for the Construct 3. But I got tired of, like, first of all, it only has light mode. I don't think it has dark mode, so it was really hard on my eyes. I don't know. I just wanted to use the new version because it looked fun. I don't have any formal schooling. The only formal education that I have is just like a computer science class that I took in high school. And like, I had fun, like it was a fun class, so it definitely inspired me. I would make games on Scratch. My username was goosepeepee and I just made horrible games. But I really liked Scratch because it was like, I didn't like doing any of the code. I like the visual based stuff. So I feel like I learned like basic concepts of like variables and like statements. So like if this, then this. And so that was kind of like how Construct was laid out. It was basically like there's a condition and then an action. And so I understood that. There's an airplane. When I was making it, I felt like I was like, this is so easy, like I'm doing so good, and like I have things working, like I had like click and drag stuff working, and like I could put things into the bag, and like I was having so much fun. I had no idea at the time that I wasn't gonna be able to get out the door of that level. It just wouldn't work with the way that I was doing it. I wasn't building any type of foundational systems. I was basically just putting everything on tick and just calling things all the time, which is like really bad for like the CPU, I think. I want to say I would never be able to make this game if not for my partner Moz, who made all of the systems, basically did all the hard stuff. So then when I moved to Construct 3, I don't know how I got Moz on board with me, because he programs in Unreal Engine, but he was like ready to like learn it, and then he kind of was like, okay, like if we're gonna make this game, we need to have systems that control everything, and then we can make each level relate back to those systems. So like if you're clicking on something, it asks you what level you're on before doing anything, and so everything can be kept like organized that way. A challenge was like learning how to use all of the objects in Construct. So they have this thing called an object, which is like kind of a plugin that has like pre-made logic. I don't really know. I honestly don't really know how it works, but basically it's like you use them, so you add them to your project. Like say you want a mouse click, you like would add like a mouse to your project, or like a drag and drop system, you would just add that, and then you would use those objects through the event sheets, which is another Construct term. Event sheet is, so you have a layout and you have an event sheet. So your layout is like the visual side of it, so basically like a canvas, and then the event sheet is the logic for that layout. So each layout has an event sheet assigned to it. So that's kind of like the basics. One thing that I didn't really foresee is like, I thought I had like a good idea of what mechanics I wanted to include and like how I wanted the game to flow and how I wanted the player to feel, but it's way easier to kind of have like a vague idea with no knowledge about game design, because there's so many limitations, like not only like technical but just practical limitations, and so I had to make like sacrifices that at the time felt like they were sacrifices. like, you know, sacrificing some functionality. For example, at first with the dialogue, I wanted it to be so that you click on the character and then they go into dialogue. In order to advance the dialogue, you needed to like click on the dialogue bubble, and if you just clicked out of it, like if you click something else, then it would just close the dialogue. And so I thought that that would be fun because it's like, okay, well, the player can choose if they want to engage with the dialogue, but that kind of like interrupted the flow of things, because then how would you know that there was more dialogue if you just clicked on something else and then it went away? And so it ended up being way easier and way better to just lock the player in dialogue and then keep the dialogue like short-winded. So yeah, like being flexible is really important. So at this point, when we were like half a year into it, we were meeting up at least one day a week, like together, and then working all day, and then like I would work on it during the week, and we would Discord and stuff. So one thing that was a challenge was using the drag and drop object in Construct. The way that it worked, I can't really remember the specifics of it. Something about the way that the object was didn't really allow us to both have drag and drop and also a click function, so you couldn't be dragging the phone into the bag and also clicking on the phone. So those two actions would kind of get mixed up with each other. And so we basically had to build our own drag and drop system that would grab an object, lock it to the cursor. We did something weird and complicated with like the click. It would do like a bunch of checks to see if it was a drag or a click. Another thing that we had to be aware of was making it playable on mobile and on desktop. Every time we had a click, we also had to have a tap at the same time. So that was like hard, because we would build something and it would work perfectly on desktop, but then we'd like put it on our phones, and then we would just be like, you know, spam tapping on stuff a little bit, and then everything would just completely break. And then also building the game with that in mind. You have a cursor, but you can't be reliant on the cursor. The game has to be easy enough that you're not like mousing over things, because it would just be a hand, and then if you'd mouse over something that you could interact with, then it would go into a point. And so we needed to make sure that you could play the game without a cursor and just with tap mechanics. One thing about game dev that I learned that I didn't anticipate was just how organized like everything needs to be. Another way I can explain it is like a snake game. Like, so if you've ever played Snake, the snake where it's like wants to eat the thing, and then it gets so big that it's really hard to move because its tail is there. It's kind of like that, because if you're not like super organized about everything that you're doing to allow for like the functionality that you want in the game, everything's just gonna start crisscrossing and just like contradicting itself. So basically, yeah. So anyway, I would really recommend Construct. Although it is paid, it's like really fun to use if you're a beginner and you don't know code and you don't want to know code. So yeah, in summary, I don't know. I hope that this is helpful to someone. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment if you want to comment. Okay, have a nice day. Bye.